Okay. You had the biggest one, huh? You had one, huh? All right. How many of y'all in here pray and meditate? I didn't say pray and medicate. I said pray and meditate. Okay. You show me an alcoholic, I will show you somebody who has prayed their ass off. And us alcoholics, we have to pray to get our ass out of certain situations that we've got ourselves into. If you show me an alcoholic, I'll show you somebody that prays their ass off. Now, how many of y'all have ever put prayer and meditation together and used them as tools to seek and do God's will? Now, put your hand in. Now, prayer and meditation, okay? Prayer is talking to God. Meditation is listening. Now, God gave you one mouth and two ears for a reason. He wants you to do more than talking. Now, before you came in here, did you do more talking in prayer and listening? Okay. And how well did that work? Okay. So we got to do something different. Now, however you've been praying before you came in here, okay? Whatever you've been doing before you came in here, quit doing it. Why do you think I say that? Why do you think I say, whatever you've been doing, quit doing? Why do you think? Huh? Bingo. So if it's not working, okay, why do you want to keep doing the same thing and wasting a lot of time doing it? So what we're going to try to do is shape a sound and sane idea for a new prayer life. Now, my prayer life today is very short, sweet, simple. Don't spend a lot of time on the prayer, because God already knows what I need. I don't have to tell him. Where I spend a lot of my time is on the listening part. That's that little voice that tells me right from wrong. Now, I don't hear a voice say, hey, Kevin, you need to do this, this, and this. And if you hear that voice, we have to get you to another facility. That's not what we're talking about. That little inner voice that tells you right from wrong. You know, the one that says, hey, dumbass, don't do that. That one. Now, prayer's talking, meditation is. Now, how many of y'all, you'll pray, and you'll pray your ass off like this? You give God all kinds of directions. You tell him what everybody needs. Well, you don't even know what you need. And you'll say, let my mama be all right, let my kids be healthy, but blah, 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 blah. And then when you get finished, you go, and look, if I forgot anything, grant me that shit too. Now, how many of y'all thought to do that? I don't do that anymore. So there's not. Now, step 11, it tells me a couple of things. It says salt through prayer and it does say meditation. It doesn't say medication. To do what? To improve. Improve what? My conscious contact with God. I want you to listen to this. To improve something, it implies you already have it. Now, do I make conscious contact with God in step 11? Yes. Who says yes? Who says no? Who don't have a damn clue? Now, I don't make contact with God in step 11. I do it in 10. And once I do that, I make it, I improve on it with prayer and meditation. Look, if you could make conscious contact with God in 11, we would only need one step.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of people come up to me and go, man, I'm really struggling with prayer and meditation. I go, no, you're not. You're struggling with making the conscious contact. Once you make it, prayer and meditation will be very, very profitable for you. But how many of y'all just try to start praying? So, what step 10? Look, you got to stay with me here. If you listen, it's actually really quite simple. But if you're not listening, it'll sound like Chinese arithmetic. Step 10 is 4 through all balled up into 1. Step 10 is me doing 4 through 9. I just call it step 10 now. Because look, it says continue dot. Now, what do I continue dot doing? 4 through. I just call it step 10. Now, what does 4 through 9 get out of the way? Self. And when self's removed, I tap into that power. So where do I make conscious contact? 4 through 9, which is step 10. And once I've made it, I improve on it with prayer and meditation. Very good, class. Now, how many of y'all, when I actually made you listen to that, take it in, you go, oh, well, that makes sense. I'm telling you, I don't know how many people have come through here and come up to me and, man, I'm really struggling with this program, especially with the God thing and prayer and meditation. And I say, no, you're not. This is where you're struggling. Now, if prayer is talking to God and meditation is listening, okay? Prayer's talking, meditation's listening. And what I told you is I don't spend a lot of time on the prayer part. Because look, it tells me in 11 what to pray for. Watch this shit. It says praying only. Now, what does only mean to you?
Nothing else.
Yeah. You know what only means to me? Fucking only. Now, this is what I pray for. Only for the knowledge of His will, which I don't struggle with that one too much anymore. His will for me is to do the next thing right. And the power to carry it out. Now that's what I really struggle with. See? Because what I want to do, what I want to do, I don't want to carry out what He wants me to do. So it's real important I get self out. Now, I'm telling you, I do not know what people need. Do I ask for my children, for my wife, for my family, for my friends, for y'all? I do. But this is what I ask for. His will to be done in their life. I'm telling you, I don't know what my children need. I don't know. I don't know what my wife needs. I don't know what y'all need. But I know who does. How many of y'all don't even know what the hell you need, but you give God all kinds of directions about what other people need? I can just picture God looking down on me before I came in here going, what the hell did I make here? Because I would give Him all kinds of directions. I'd tell Him what everybody needed. And then I'd say, and look, if I left anything out, grant me that shit. Now, If I was running a business and I'm sitting at the front desk of a business and I have a phone that has one piece of the phone, the talking piece, could I conduct a lot of good business? Now, what would happen to my business? It'd go bankrupt. Now, let's say I'm sitting there and I only have the listening piece. Could I conduct much good business? What would happen to my business? How many of y'all been trying to conduct business with God with one piece of the phone, the talking piece? Now, for me to get a business going, got to get both pieces to the phone going, talking and listening. And when I do that, I can conduct some pretty good business. The most important business I'm going to conduct in a day is with God. I've been trying to do it with one piece of the phone. I know y'all not like that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm trying to go back into business. So I'm going to try to get both pieces to the phone working. Talking. So listen, y'all turn y'all's big books. Let's see, let's see where we're going to start today. I want to start on page 85. The second to last full paragraph. Now, let me ask y'all this. Look up here a minute. How many of y'all learned how to pray from somebody else? Or you watch somebody else, or you try to emulate somebody else? Now, the way they were doing, am I saying it's wrong? Huh?
No.
No. Look, I learned from my parents and a priest. Okay? What they were doing, is it wrong? Fuck no. It worked for them. It just didn't work for me. But how many of y'all, that kind of stuff seems real foreign to you and not very personal? How many of y'all have ever heard people say, I have a personal relationship with God? I used to hear that and go, nonsense. I always had somebody else's conception of God. Either parents, priests, what somebody told me, I never ever had my own conception of God. Never. So by not having mine, by having somebody else's, did it seem pretty inadequate? Did it seem not too personal? Yeah. Now, how many of y'all have somebody else's conception of God? Now, when I was growing up, this is what sort of was instilled in me. This is the conception of God I had. He was up on this cloud. He had a beard and a robe on, and he had this big concrete tablet in front of him. And he had a hammer and a chisel. And every time I did something wrong, he would chisel that shit out. Now, at about 7 or 8, that was my conception of God. He's watching every fucking thing I do. And when I do something wrong, he's chiseling on that tablet. Now, at about 11, it had grew a little bit. And this was my conception of God at about 11. He got to be fucking tired of chiseling. But how many of y'all were taught something like that? Now, at 11, I start putting stuff in me. Guess what stopped growing at about 11? My conception of, when you start putting a lot of drugs and alcohol in your system, a lot of things cease to grow. Your conception of God, your emotion, your spiritual growth, a lot of stuff stops. Now, what was your conception of God when you first started using? How old were you when you first started using? That was what, last week?
Yep.
How old were you? You. 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 How? You. Whatever age you were, I want you to try to picture that conception of God. When you first started using, what was your conception of God? Just sort of kind of, what was it? Okay. Now, how old are you now? Has it changed much? But before you came in here, has it changed much? Look, my conception of God when I started using it was I was scared to death of it. Now, that conception of God, when I started using, stopped. Physically, I keep. Now I'm like 18, 20, 25. I'm facing adult problems in an adult world. And I have the conception of God of a punk-ass kid. Small wonder I thought it was inadequate. Does that make sense to y'all?
Yeah.
Now, I come in here, I start growing again spiritually. I'm not using, and my conception of God starts to grow again by leaps and bounds. And it catches up with my physical life. So the conception of God that I have now, it doesn't seem inadequate. It seems sort of real. And it's real. You can't have it. See, what I tell people a lot is you got to start developing your own conception of God. You can only see God through your eyes. Look, if we all went to a football game, 100,000 people in there, I promise you they all see the game differently because they're sitting in different seats. Everybody sees God different. And how many of y'all have always went off somebody else's conception? You've never had your own. All right, in the book. We're going to start out the second to last paragraph down where it says much has already been said. We're on page 85. Okay, look up here. Look up here. This part of the book, they're still talking on step. Now, it says much has already been. The first 10 steps. Much has already been about what? Receiving. Look, I've put myself in a position to start to receive something. That's what I've put myself in a position to receive. And if you haven't done the work and continue to do it, you hadn't put yourself in that position yet. Now, receive what? God's little voice that tells me right from wrong. Look, I've heard it my whole life, but I never would listen to it. All right, back in the book. It says, receive strength, inspiration, and direction from Him. That's not your boyfriend or your hubby who has all knowledge and power. If you've carefully followed direction. Now, that's the first 10. You have begun to sense the flow of His Spirit into you. To some extent, you have become God. Now, what step are we in? 10. I have begun to develop this vital sixth sense. Why y'all looking at me like I got 10 heads and 14 eyes? Are y'all on the same page in this book I'm in? Okay. Now, it says I've begun to develop this vital sixth sense. Now, most human beings are born with 5 senses. Now, these 5 senses. I mean, who in here knows something about computers? I know how to fucking unhook them. Now, how many of y'all in here know something about, who really knows something about computers? Come on. You can go buy the most expensive computer and go buy a cheap one. The little thing, they call it the brain that feeds that computer, it's only as good as the information it's fed. Now, what you have up here is about $1 billion computer, but it's only as good as the information you feed it with. Now, most people feed this computer with these 5 senses, the information they get from it. Now, these 5 senses, are they always right?
No.
Who says no? Who says yes? Who doesn't know? Now, if I blindfolded you, you'd probably be better off. But if I blindfolded you and I put 20 things in front of you to taste, could you get 20 out of 20 every time?
No.
So is your taste always right?
No.
How many of y'all have ever saw a guy down the road and you went, ooh, he's cute? And the closer he gets, the uglier he becomes. So is your sight always right?
No.
Now, how many of y'all feed this computer with some very limited information? So you feed it some bad information and you make some bad decisions. Now, they tell you there's a vital 6th sense. And it's always right. That's that little voice that tells you right from. Now, since I have been developing this through step, I've taken this vital 6th sense and I've incorporated it with these. And I'm starting to feed this thing some real good information. And I can make some pretty good damn decisions then. How many of y'all in here? This is so undeveloped, it's like a little bitty baby. And that's pretty much what we have in here, is a bunch of grown-up babies. Physically, number-wise, you're an adult. But mentally, are you? Spiritually, are you? But you want people to treat you like an adult. But you walk around doing this. How many of y'all, when you don't get your way, that's what you do. You laugh at that shit, but people look at you and they go, golly, man, they're supposed to be an adult. Now, these 5 senses, I start to develop this and incorporate this with these, I can make some good damn. All right, back in the book. Says I must go further. See, after developing it, I must go, and that means more action. Step 11 suggests prayer and medication.
Meditation.
Oh, meditation. Oh, okay. It says we shouldn't be shy on this matter of prayer. Better women than we are using it constantly. Look, how many of y'all will start, stop, start, stop, start, stop? It says constantly. Good times, bad times, every day, all through the day. Now, we're going to give you 3 simple suggestions. Look, 3. 1, 2, 3. If you take them and you apply them to your prayer meditation life, guess what will happen? You're not going to become a high priest. You're not going to become Gandhi. what you're gonna do is take these tools, prayer, meditation, after you've made conscious contact with God in 10, what's gonna happen is your prayer and meditation life's going to, that's it. And anything for you that's an improvement would be fucking astronomical. So all we're looking for is a little improvement, okay? All right. I want you to take your pen, your pencil, your mascara pencil, whatever you got, and put you a 1 on the side of the word win and circle it. Who's got that circled already?
Got a star.
Same thing. Okay. This is the first suggestion they're going to give you. Where's your book? Huh?
On my bed.
On your bed. Lord have mercy. Here. Give that to her. I would throw something at you. Only thing I'd throw at you that you would catch is like a crack pipe. You know I'm gonna mess with you a little bit since you forgot your book. Okay, here we go. Put you a 1 on the side of the word win. This is the first suggestion they're gonna give you. Look up here. This is the first suggestion they're gonna give you. Now, it says, when I retire at night. Why do you think the first thing they're gonna tell me to do is when I go to bed? Look, since I've been in this program, I don't get in a lot of trouble in the bed anymore, okay? So why do you think the first thing they're gonna tell me to do is right before I go to sleep? Look, if I go to sleep in God's will, when my eyes pop open, I'm in God's will. How many of y'all have ever went to bed mad at the world? And when your eyes pop open, what are you?
Man of the world.
How many of y'all have ever went to bed obsessing about dope? When your eyes pop open, see if you go to bed right, you wake up right. And if you go to bed right, the second suggestion on awakening will actually work. Now, how many of y'all do this? All through the day, you run on self-will. You make a mess out of shit. And right before you go to bed, you get on your knees and you get real fucking spiritual. And you go, "Thy Father, forgive thy for all thy has done." And then you hop your ass in bed. That's not what we're talking about. That don't work. You're living proof it don't. Now, the first suggestion they're going to give me, you gotta listen to this. The very first suggestion they're going to give me, in step 11, when I retire at night, the day's in. The first thing in 11 is going to tie in with the last thing they tell me to do in 10. These two are going to tie in together right here. Now, step 10, there's 2 types of step 10 inventory. There's the spot check. I take all through the day. And then there's the days in. This is where 10 and 11 tie in. It says, when I retire at night, I constructively review my day. It didn't say destructively. It said, was I resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? They have a question mark. So guess what they want you to ask yourself? That question. Do I owe an apology? Question mark. Have I kept something to myself which should be discussed with another person at once? Question mark. Now, I want you to back up a minute. It says, was I resentful, selfish, what? Now, what step does that sound like? Do I owe an apology? Have I kept something to myself which should be discussed with another person at? Was I kind and loving towards all? So what did I just do again right before I go to bed? Very good. If you listen to me to this program, and people who continually do 4 through 9, they grow every day. And I can grow to any level in this program I choose. And most of y'all, this is what y'all do. Y'all come in, you get sober, you gain a little semblance of recovery, and you try to stay there. And you cannot maintain anything, especially the human life. Anything that God creates, it's growing or dying. You cannot maintain anything. If you see a 100-foot oak tree, the second it quits growing, what does it automatically do? It starts dying. As long as it's growing, it could never. But the second it quits growing, it starts to. Now, in this program, you're growing or you cannot maintain anything. They tell you maintain through growth. Now, how many of y'all have been dying on the vine for a long time? Now, if you notice, they went from 4 to 8 and 9, back to 5, 6, and 7. Now, when I sponsor guys, okay, and they're really doing some 10th step work, when they first start, they'll call me up and they'll go, I go, whoa, 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 slow down, take a breath. Did you 10th step it? No, not yet. I said, whoa, hold on. I said, after you 10th step it, call me back. Clink! Because I can't help it. See, in the 10th step, it goes from 4 and 5, okay? Then it goes to 8 and 9, back to 6 and 7. If you got to call your sponsor for the rest of your fucking life, you missed something. And what you missed is all of it. Good sponsors will not cuddle and coddle you. They will tell you, hey, I ain't 10-stepping, don't call me. See, I don't call people, my sponsees don't call me, and we have coffee and smoke cigarettes and talk about how was your day. I tell them, hey, do you want to do the deal? And if they haven't 10-stepped it, I can't help them. Now, once they 10-stepped it, then it says I discussed it with another person. And they sort of tell you, hey, what amends you need to make. And that's what real sponsorship's about. If you got to call your sponsor after you've been in this 6, 8, 9 months, a year, you fucking missed it. All right, back in the book. It says, what could I have done better? Question mark. Was I thinking of myself most of the time? Question mark. Or was I thinking what I could do for others? What I could pack into the stream of life? Now, it's telling me, okay, that I have to inventory. I have to inventory, and I have to inventory some more. The name of the game is inventory. Inventory, 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 and inventory some more. How many of y'all never do that? You never do that. Your nose is always taking somebody else's fucking inventory and steady on. Now, you can take inventory, somebody else's, and you will get loaded. You know, it's amazing when I'm spiritually fit and I'm looking at myself, everybody becomes so much better. Nothing's changed except me. How many of y'all, when y'all in self, every fucking thing under the sun is wrong? Everything. But boy, when you're right, you're looking at things completely the same shit. Now everything is so much better. All right, back in the book. It says, I must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish my usefulness to others. Now, what they sort of telling me is when I make this little review, I'm going to find I've made mistakes. Now, mistakes for me are good. Now, this is a mistake. When I do something and I sort of see where I messed up, I make some corrections and I never do it again. That is a mistake. Now, in that sense, are mistakes good for me? Yeah. Now, how many of y'all keep doing the same shit over and over and over and over, and you never learn from it? That's not a mistake. Do you know what that is? Huh? That's called eat up with the dumbass. That's what that's called. But how many of y'all do that? You keep doing the same shit over and over, and you never learn from it. You go, but I just made a mistake. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. All right, back in the book. Now listen to what it's going to tell you. After making my review, I ask God's forgiveness. So I say a what? Prayer. I don't say it before I make the review. I say it after the review. And then I inquire, look up here, on what corrective measures should be. Now, if I've done that review and I ask God's forgiveness, I'm going to start to hear what corrective measures should be taken. I'm going to hear that little boy say, hey, dumbass. Now, how many of y'all, you make a mess out of shit all day long, and right before you go to bed, you go, God forgive me, and jump your ass in bed? That won't work. You've proven it won't work. Now, that's the first suggestion they gave me when I go to. Now, the second one, put you a 2 on the side of the word on and circle it. This is the second suggestion. Now, if I go to bed right, the second suggestion will actually work. Now, I'm 10-stepping all day, right? I'm spot checking all day, right?
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
Right before I go to bed, I do another little inventory. Now, I want you to check this out. If I'm spot checking all day, I shouldn't have much to do at night, should I?
Right.
And it'll take all of about a minute. Now, I'm going to bed right. I actually go to, and I mean good, peaceful. How many of y'all, when y'all wake up, you're fucking more tired than when you went to sleep?
Yeah.
How many of y'all can't go to sleep? How many of y'all dream about using when you go to sleep? How many of y'all get loaded sleep when you in your dream? Fuck, I'd say go back to sleep then. That's fucking dreaming. Look, are you gonna think about it and dream about it? Yeah, you've been doing it for years. That's all you've thought about. Is it normal to have dope using dreams? It is. It absolutely is. That's all you've been fucking thinking about for years. Well, I don't know about your brain. It's probably your damn spiritual life. Now, how many of y'all in here can't get a restful night's sleep for nothing? You know, when somebody has this right and they get some good, restful, peaceful sleep, when their ass wakes up, when their eyes pop open, they go. How many of y'all, when y'all wake up? Oh, no, I'm awake. Why you laughed at that? You do that? Yeah. I know. See, you're supposed to get up when your eyes pop open going, ready to live. Right. Not exist in it, live it. Now, if I go to bed right, on awakening will actually work. All right. It says on awakening. Now, I don't know about you, but when my eyes pop open, I am, and I'm normally in my bed. So when do I do the first suggestion? I'm in bed. It don't say, look, it don't say, after I shit, shower, have coffee and beignets, smoke 5 cigarettes, and drink 3 Red Bulls. It don't say that. It says on. Now, if I go to bed right, in God's will, right when my eyes pop open, I'm still in God's will. If I start doing everything under the sun, I get back in, and this won't work. If I go to bed right, and as soon as my eyes pop open, I get right again. It says I think about the 24 hours ahead. I consider my plans for the day, and before I begin, I ask God. I say a little prayer to direct my thinking, especially asking it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. Now, I want you to look up here. It says, I think about the 24 hours ahead. Did your book say, I dwell in the last month? Or I start thinking about next month when I get out of here? It says the 24 hours ahead. Most people think one day at a time and stuff like that has to do with not drinking one day at a time. That's not what they're talking about. They're talking about living in God's will in 24-hour segments. Because that's all He has given you. How many of y'all have actually listened to the Lord's Prayer right before y'all eat? Or how many of y'all go like this? Our Father, now let's eat. You never really listen to what it says. It says, give us this, our daily bread. They ain't talking about bread you eat. They're talking about God's strength. And God gives me enough of His strength for one day. One day. And if I overload it with yesterday's problem or tomorrow's, the bread He gave me for today would be insufficient. How many of y'all, you got one foot in yesterday and one in tomorrow, and you're pissing on today? And that's all God gave you was today. And how many of y'all overloaded with yesterday or tomorrow? Look, what you did yesterday, that was yesterday. Tomorrow ain't been touched. Now, what a lot of y'all do, you take your past and you wallow in it and you bring it into your present. then it becomes your future. Look, I tell people this all the time, and I don't fucking really get in trouble anymore. Just tell them, well, I'll go home. A lot of people, well, yeah, this is what I tell you about the past. Get over it. Get over it. Get over it. Do I tell you that because I don't care? No, I tell you that because if you don't, you're going to bring it into your present, and it's going to become your, hey, you did it. Get over it. It's time to move on. If you wallow in it, you ain't never going to get over it. All right, back in the book. It says, under these conditions, what conditions? God directed my thinking. Under that condition, I can employ my mental faculties with. Now, where did they tell me back in the beginning that the main problem for the alcoholic center? In the mind. Now they telling me I can employ my mental faculties with. I don't know about you, but that's a hell of a result for somebody like me. You may not be like me. I don't know. My thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when my thinking is cleared of wrong motives. How many of y'all, when y'all's eyes pop open, you start scheming? And your little schemes really don't ever entertain what's best for other people. Because you're always thinking about yourself. And you'll make yourself believe that you're doing it to help other people. All right, suggestion 1 told me what to do when I go to bed. 2 told me what to do. Now the third suggestion, on the side of the word in, put you a 3 and circle it. They're going to tell you what to do as you go through the day. Now, a bunch of alcoholics wrote this book. So they wrote it where there's no loopholes. They're going to cover everything. Look, night, morning, and through the day. They leave nothing open for you to find a loophole. Now, what they tell you to do when you go to bed, they told you to constructively review your day. On awakening, they told you what to do. Now, as you go through the day, they're going to tell you. Okay? All right. It says, in thinking about our day, we may face indecision. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Now, I want you to look up here. I want you to really listen to this. I want you to look up here, and I want you to really listen to this. How many of y'all, when y'all are facing indecision, you're going to do something, right, wrong, or indifferent? You're like a bull in a china closet. And when you make some tragic blunders and shit's hitting the fan, that's when you ask God for help. All right? Now, I want you to listen to what it's going to tell you. Okay? I'm going to read it again. It says, in thinking about our day, we may face indecision. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Now, before I make some tragic fucking blunders, before I do anything, this is what I do. Here I ask God. I say a what? And look, this is how hey bro, I need a little help. Again, my prayer life's short, sweet, and simple. See, I don't ask God after I make a mess out of shit. I ask him before, so I don't make a mess out of shit. I ask God for inspiration and intuitive thought or decision. Now, when I do that, when I actually do that, it says I can relax and take it easy. Why is that? Because I just put it in God's.
Yes.
See, how do you know you actually put something in God's hand? You don't worry about it. You relax, you take it easy. How many of y'all worry? How many of y'all pray? Well, if you're going to pray, don't. If you're going to worry, don't. Because if you're going to ask God for help and still worried about what you're really telling God is, hey, dude, I really ain't got that much faith in you. And he's going to go, okay, Lord's yours. You're going to pray about it, don't. You're going to worry about it, don't. Now, in the beginning, putting something in God's hand, go shut that door. All right, back up here. She's just going to walk. All right. In the beginning, putting something in God's hand, is it tough? Yeah, but you've been used to running on for a long time. So is it normal to put something in God's hand? So in the beginning, is it hard? Yeah. Once you start, once you put something in God's hands, and you really do that, you're going to get some pretty good. Now, when you get some good results, the second time you do it, is it going to be a little easier? Because you just got results. And it's going to get easier, easier, easier. And they're going to tell you it's going to become a working part of just like our so automatic to run on self. It's real automatic for me to go, hey, bro, I need a little help. Now, the first time I ever really put something in God's hand, okay, it wasn't much because I couldn't fucking handle much at the time. But my daughters, my two twins, they would not take my phone calls. They would not accept my letter. And I was sort of taught, well, look, put that in God's hands and just do the next thing right. And I went, well, what do I have to lose? They're not accepting them now. So if I do it and it don't work, I've lost nothing. Now, I'm not telling you that the day I put it in his hands, the next 30 minutes, they said, hey, your daughters are on the phone. That's not what I'm telling you. It took about another good month, me just putting my nose to the grindstone, doing the right thing, whatever it was. Guess who started to take my calls? Yeah. That's one of the first times I got some tangible results from this program. And I went, motherfucker, this shit works. It really does.
Yeah.
How do you know if it does or it doesn't? Because none of y'all have ever done that. Have you? Have you? So you really don't know. But I'm telling you that I know this in the beginning, it's hard to do it, and a lot of y'all will never do it. I do know that. Back in the book. Says, I relax and take it easy. I don't struggle. I'm often surprised, and in the beginning, your ass will be shocked. How the right answers come after you've tried this far. It didn't say how long, it just said what used to be the hunch or the occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. Now, how many of y'all in here, when you were locked up in that jail cell, you had some hunches and occasional inspirations? Like, Father, if life gets me out of here, I will never do this shit again. That's a hunch or occasional inspiration. Now, what they telling you is after you've done this for a while, what? Okay, after you've done this for a while, it's going to become a working part. Now, what's a while? I don't know. I'll call a fucking minute a long time now, so I don't know what a while is. Well, when did you go there? Oh, about a minute ago. What? Y'all youngsters are shit, man, nowadays. All right, on the top of page 87, it says being still inexperienced and just having made contact with God. Not probable, I'm going to be inspired at all times. I might pay for this presumption and all start with the third actions and look. In early recovery, you're first getting out of here. It's important that you really watch what you're doing, where you're going, and what you're thinking. It's very important. That's why I'm a real firm believer in somebody who goes to a very good, structured, sober living. Now, does that guarantee immunity from alcohol? Absolutely fucking not. I've seen people go to the best sober living house that I think in Back Roads, and the next day got loaded. I've seen some people go home and do the deal. I've seen people go home and the next fucking day they back in here. It says I gotta really be careful. Early recovery. Now, they tell me that this awakening, it takes place in a couple of months. How long are you going to be with us? Hopefully. 1 month. So is it going to take hold here?
No.
No. Is it going to start here?
Yeah.
Hopefully. And what you do here. Now, if you do what we say here, and really do what we say, when you hit the door, whether you go home or sober living, are you going to have your feet firmly planted on the ground? You do what we say. Now, if you sit through here for 28 days and go through the motion, and your butt's here, but your head's in fucking Mississippi somewhere, I would tell you, whether you go home or sober living, you have not a snowball's chance in hell. The month you spend here is crucial, what you do. Now, how many of y'all waste 2 fucking weeks while you're here before your head exits your butthole? And you look up and you go, oh, fuck, I don't have it 2 weeks to go. Seriously, how many of y'all waste the first week while you're here? You did, huh? You were too busy blaming everybody else, huh? I kept waiting for them to fucking show up. But you just coming too. I know, that's what I just said. I'm telling you, when you first got here, how long you been here? When you first got here, did 28 days seem like 5 years? It did, huh? Now, you've been here 2 weeks. I can sort of tell you're starting to maybe get your fucking head out your butt a little bit, right or wrong. Now, those 4 weeks, are they starting to fly by now? And see, the first week or two, it's like 22 years. The last week or so, you look up and you go, fuck, I gotta go home. And most of y'all didn't get what you came here for. Back in the book. Nevertheless, I find my thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on a plane of inspiration. I come to rely upon it. Now, I want you to go down to the last paragraph on that same page. Now, the book, they'll tell you, if you do this, this, and this, you will get this, this, and this. And it also tells you, if you don't do this, this, and this, you will get this and that. So it tells you, if you do this, you get that. If you don't do this, you get this. Now, a lot of people in the program call them the promises. I like to call them results. Now, when I was growing up, if I wanted to go somewhere, like to the movie, to a dance or something, my parents told me, hey, during the week, you got to take some steps. And it was fucking more than 12 of them. They said you got to cut the grass, you got to take the garbage out, you got to do better than that. If I did all that shit, Friday night, I got some good results. If I didn't do that shit Friday night, guess what? I didn't get. That's right. So I got some bad. Now, this program's the same way. It says, hey, if you do this, this, and this, Friday you can go to the movies. If you don't do this, this, and this, your ass ain't going nowhere. Now, fixing to tell you some of the results you're going to start to get after you've done this for a while. Before, see, I didn't go to the fucking movie and then cut the grass. It didn't work like that at my house. You don't get results before, you get results after. All right. The last paragraph on that page, it says, as I go through the day, I'm going to pause when agitated or doubtful and ask for the right thought or action. Now, how many of y'all in here when you get agitated and doubtful, you say shit and do shit, and about 5 minutes later, you go, I wish I wouldn't have said that. Man, I wish I wouldn't have did that. How many of y'all the story of your life is, I wish I wouldn't have had? See, it says, when I'm agitated or doubtful, I'm going to start to step back. And I'm going to let those emotions, and I'm going to ask for the right thought or action. That's a result, or as they say, a promise. I constantly remind myself I am no longer running the show. You know the crazy shit is? I thought for a long time I was running the show, but there's no way I could have did everything I did and ended up where I'm at today if I was running the show. God let me think I was long enough. But how many of y'all burn up a lot of energy foolishly, trying to arrange life to suit yourself? And you get so tired, you got to put something in you to help you. I humbly say to myself many times each day, thy will be done. I am then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry. Now, all of those things, where do they center at? How many of y'all up here, y'all have this little itty bitty shitty committee? And you are your own worst enemy. Hey, y'all want to go out there? Okay, well, we're not out there. We're up here. How many of y'all, this is your own worst enemy? I become much more efficient. I do not tire so easily, or I'm not burning up energy foolishly as I did when I was trying to arrange life to suit myself. It works. It really does. Now, when I first came in here, when I went to treatment, I tell people I've been to treatment twice, but I've really never been to treatment. Where I went, it was 28 days of AA boot camp. There was no group therapy. They put you in a room for 8 hours a day around the table, and this is all you did. Monday through Friday. Saturday and Sunday, you cleaned and went to meetings. And there was a bunch of these slogans, AA slogans around. It works. It really does. And that shit used to fucking piss me off. Because that first time I went, it wasn't working. And I went, this is some fucking bullshit. Now, the second time through, I'm really doing what they asked me to do. Because I didn't look at it, they were telling me, they were asking. And when I started to get some of the results, I went, fucking shit works. It really does. Now, they tell you in step 9, they give you the step 9 promises or results. And they say, are these extravagant promises? Now, fuck all that. If you're not getting them, they sound like extravagant promises. And if you're not getting them, it's because you're not doing the work necessary. The ones of us that are doing them and getting those results, we know they're not extravagant. But the first time through, they were reading all that shit, and I go, that's fucking some bullshit. That happens for them. That ain't happening for me. You know why it wasn't happening for me? Because I wasn't doing what they were saying. All right, back in the book. We alcoholics are undisciplined. Imagine that. So we let God discipline us in the simple way we just outlined. Now, one way or the other, guess who's going to discipline your ass? That's right. It's just a good idea. That ain't. Believe you me, I've had it both ways. And when you let him, so much nicer. But how many of y'all been getting consequence after consequence after consequence dropped on your ass? That's God disciplining you. But when you let him, you conform self-will with God's blessing you. And all that shit that you made a mess of that you thought you would never get worked out, you look up one day and you go, fucking shit works. It really does. But this is not all. There is action and more actions. Faith without works is dead. Now, I'm going to ask a couple of y'all what that means to you. Don't tell me some shit you heard in a fucking AA meeting or something. You heard somebody else say it. I want you to tell me what it means to you. Faith without works. What does that mean to you?
It means you don't put faith in, you don't get nothing out.
Okay, that's not, look, no answer is wrong. No answer is wrong.
I mean, you have to work for it. Like,
okay, what's it mean to you? Okay, what's it mean to you? It means something. You may not want to say it, but what's it mean to you? Look, you're not getting off that easy with me. And maybe somebody else will let you shrug your shoulders and shit. But that's what you normally do. What's faith without works mean to you? Okay. See, that wasn't that hard. What's it mean to you? What's it mean to you? Okay, what's it mean to you? You've been thinking about it.
I know, I can't come up with anything because I don't have my favorite.
Well, you're trying to come up with the right answer and there's not one.
No, there isn't.
No, so what's it mean to you?
Versus that's that big.
Okay. Hey, shoo, yoo-hoo. What's it mean to you? I want you to listen to me before you. Every time I come in this class, from right now to when you leave, you be in the front row. Okay? 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 As they okay? Okay. Now what's it mean to you? Are y'all fucking related?
I'm trying to say it.
Okay, got it.
Like basically like not having faith and everything, just kind of direction and basically dead, like, you know.
Okay. What's it mean to you?
So you believing in God and then working to let God have it.
Well, y'all can complicate a fucking part. Look, faith without work. What it means to me. Okay? Doesn't make it, doesn't mean it's right. It's just what it means to me. What I did yesterday in this program means absolutely nothing. What I'm gonna do tomorrow means absolutely nothing. What I've done today, that's what my faith is based on. Now, how many of y'all do some shit like this? Well, I went to a meeting yesterday. Oh, that was?
Yesterday.
Well, I did my prayer and meditation yesterday. I worked with a sponsee yesterday. How many of y'all went, well, you know, I don't think I'll use no dope today. I used some yesterday. Faith without works. What did you do? Now, they talk about resting on laurels. And laurels mean past accomplishments. Again, what I did in this program yesterday means nothing. And if I rest on my laurels for too long, I'm going to look up one day and I ain't going to have none to rest on. Now, a couple of things I have learned over the years. When I see people come in and out of these centers, I hear this a lot. I started slacking off. Started slacking off. And normally what I hear is one of the first things they started slacking off with was, I've never heard one person come in here and say this. You know, the day that I used again, I did my prayer and meditation that morning. I ain't never heard that. Never. You know what I hear a lot? I quit doing. Now, I've been in this program, not around it, I've been in it for a little over 21 years, all up in it. And every day, I have to take the pedal and put it to the floor. If I start letting up, I'm in trouble. Now, what a lot of people do in the program, the longer they stay in it, the less they do. And they start resting on the laurels. And they look up one day and they ain't got none to rest on no more. Now, quantity of sobriety, to me means absolutely
Nothing.
not a fucking thing. How long somebody's been sober, to me, is an ego thing. What I go by is the quality of somebody's sobriety. And what I have found is people with a lot of quantity usually have quality. And what I have found, people who get caught up in the quantity, I made a month sober, which is it's a good thing. It really is. I have 16 months sober. Okay. About the quality of it. Let's talk about that. But seriously, how many of y'all get caught up in quantity instead of quality? No, not everybody. No?
I didn't say that. You're looking at me.
Who said that?
She did.
Well, that's why she's sitting next to you. Look, I want you to think about that. How many of y'all get out of here and we pick those chips and shit up at meetings, and you think because you've reached this milestone, that's ensured your immunity from alcohol. Now, what the book tells me is I have a daily reprieve. That's all they give me. It doesn't say, hey, once you hit the 20-year mark, you can fucking coast. It says what I have is a daily reprieve, contingent on my spiritual condition. Now, when my eyes pop open in the morning, my main focus ain't on my kids. It ain't on my wife. It ain't on this fucking job. It's based on my spiritual condition. And that has to come before the kids, before the wifey poo, before this job. Because if it doesn't, I've proven it. I will lose kids, wife, and this job. I've proven it. Now, how many of y'all, everything comes in front of your spiritual growth in this program? How many of y'all go, well, I can't do that. I have 2 kids. Well, I can't do that. I have a job. Well, how many of y'all went, well, I can't do dope. I have 2 kids. I can't do dope. I have a job. See, you put dope in front of everything. And we ask you to put this in front of everything, and you go, I'm not going to do that. But you'll put something in front of everything that, like the damn near killed you. We ask you to put something in front of everything, or you can keep it, and you won't do it. Now, who got up earlier? I slept late this morning. Who got up earlier than 6? What time did you go to bed?
Yeah.
Okay, what time did you get up?
4:30.
Who got up earlier than 4:30? She's got the longest sobriety in the room.
Oh, shit.
Not me, her. Because what we have is a daily reprieve. Comments?
That was awesome. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was